how soon would Lorne go looking?
Well, she has to do her own recovery, which I'm not sure how long that takes. Uh,
It probably takes for everyone to fully be recovered, 2 free days.
2 3 days. Okay, so after that, she'd be free.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you came talking to her before she recovered. And then she's just sitting.
We're both in recovery for that time.
Are we just
Hana
vibing
was
on
pretty.
beds next to each other?
Well,
Sure, let's.
there is the Lauren's probably recovering in her own room. Could
True.
make it easier on her body, and everyone else, Rye would
Mm-hmm.
probably be like, stay in your dorms, damn it.
Yeah. I imagine Hana was less. I think Hana was a little less hurt, but they probably would get out around the same time.
Probably.
And so, post that.
Yeah. So she could catch him around 15 over there, or en route, or sticking her head into the workshop, wherever she may find him.
Let me check something. You can probably find him in one of the living areas. The less populated one at the moment.
Or 9? No, wait, is it 18? Yeah, it's
8.
18. Or
8.
8. Okay. Hoppa.
I imagine he's probably sitting in there. He's probably brought some things over from the workshop in here and it's just idly tinkering, but nothing that needs a lot of TLC, more of just unscrewing things, taking looks, things like that, but more comfortable on a nice fluffy couch instead of a workbench.
Mm-hmm. Would you say, chance that she's recovered enough for being a vent gremlin once more?
E.
Okay. She may be testing out her recovery with the vent moving anyways then. So, a little vent creaku.
You see him kind of like stop mid screwdriver turning. And like I imagine he's facing away from the vent, so you see kind of like turn his head, but not like face you completely, but just listening.
Yeah. She's slowly pushing up the vent to make sure it makes as much noise to announce her presence as possible.
He's quiet for a bit. Lorne.
Hannah.
Or sorry, he'd say Lauren.
The vent closes and she slinks over.
I suppose you are out of recovery then.
I am.
I was going to give it another day before checking on you.
I do feel much better.
This is good to hear.
Yourself?
As recovered as it's going to be, at least physically.
And how are you here? And she'll point at his head.
He's quiet for a bit and then gives a tired smile.
If you'd like to speak about it, I am open for conversation.
I think many of my qualms are, for the most part, publicly aired.
Most likely.
It will be a tiring next couple of days, I think. Or weeks, as long as it takes to properly adjust to this whole thing.
Yes, I suppose. Is there anything that can be done reasonably that may aid you in your state?
Reasonably.
Gremlin smile.
No, I don't think there is.
I
think
see.
once we have Nurse Joy up and running, having an opportunity to speak with him as an in-between for Minerva may soothe my nerves a bit.
Yes,
But so long as they are extraneous assets, I that cannot be predicted.
Yes.
I think I'll be staying to my quarters more often.
I am sorry that you feel unsafe.
He sighs and says, "Your thoughtfulness is appreciated, though it doesn't change much. The situation is already done.
It is.
And a fair point was raised, I must admit. It's better to have that killing machine of a man following orders than randomly wandering the universe with information that could prove dangerous."
Not only that, but I'd imagine with his disposition towards all that is not himself or his kind, that he would be very dangerous.
He still is. None of
Yes.
that has changed.
No, of course. But I mean... She thinks of a word. In a way, he is tethered right now. And though that does not render him less dangerous, it does render him more predictable.
I agree. He isn't going to go that far if he's always meant to be on call. That said, that's not exactly comforting either, is it? Given the idea that if he is called to shoot us, he will be able to do so quite effectively.
Yes, well, had we not awoken Minerva when we had, he would have shot us many more times.
You are correct. Still, there is something of an enigma with that man. Something of interest, I think.
Agreed.
I've never encountered an individual. I don't believe I have. Of over 600 years of age.
Eyebrow raised. Did she know that he was that old? Or wait.
He was saying that about
the Marine.
Yeah.
What's his name?
He said I haven't. I don't believe I've
Custodian.
encountered anyone that old.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I find it interesting that he seems to have retained his sense of self. I assumed that would be his sense of self.
He wasn't alone on the ship. Not really. With VIs in the old Terran days being essentially people trapped within boards and circuitry. And they're built to be more, he taps his brain, resilient.
I suppose that would make sense.
The age, I thought even. They may not die to bullets, or guns, or any horrible violence, but I thought age. It makes so many parts of the body fall apart. They couldn't regenerate all of that.
Then again, he did regenerate his leg.
He did. So I suppose a minor heart attack is nothing to him.
She makes a face. It's not a disgusted face, it's just I didn't really think about that face. I suppose that is correct. I had not considered
I mean, that is what
aging
age does.
diseases.
It makes the body go weak over time. Eventually, it's just not able to put up with the stressors of basic life. But him, he doesn't grow weak. He simply regenerates.
Out of character, actually. Chance, when we saw the Praetorians, when they were vaguely sliced out of their armor, as much as Lorne didn't want to see it, how much was it ratio of machine to person?
It seemed to be different depending on them. Some of them it looked like there was more flesh and bone than there was machine. For others, it looked like there was multiple like body parts replaced by the machinery.
Okay.
So you can kind of get the vibe that these they were put back together after they died in combat,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever damage they sustained that couldn't be, repaired, was replaced.
And then from the wounds that we had inflicted on the custodian, because he was bleeding, but
He was.
were we able to, or Lauren or whoever, were we able to figure out how much of it was machine versus how much of it was man?
Um,
Because I know you said,
It's
and we know from history or tale or whatever, that they are severely integrated with their systems, right?
yeah. Um, Definitely there was some machinery underneath the flesh in the handful of spots where you could see.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot like he is definitely more man than machine.
Okay.
Like severe genetic alteration to create a 10-foot tall monstrosity of muscle.
Right.
Yeah. In an instant.
Oh, you're getting a little robot-y over there.
And you can definitely know that when the leg regrew back, you're able to see it for a little bit. There was additionally various looked like sockets also grew with it,
Huh.
and then when he put back on the suit, you could hear it like it's sealed back together.
So
Huh.
almost like, is it cyborg? Cyborg are almost like android, where it's like artificial flesh
Yeah,
in a way, or synthetic
in a way, yeah, but
organic.
it looked pretty real. It smelled pretty real,
Right.
felt pretty real.
He was
Nanomachines.
modified. He wasn't synthetic. He was modified.
His nanomachines.
Nanomachine, son. But yeah, definitely like what was used to make him, it's both cybernetic and flesh.
Okay.
It seems like his suit, judging from well, Rai and Hana would have been able to judge it better, but from like where the sockets were visible, seemed like they would connect to nerve clusters.
Gotcha. Yum, 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 yum. So with that in mind, okay. It saddens me to have seen so much hate in one person.
Welcome to Terran society.
Surely they are not all like that.
Ones that are separated from the homeland. No, but most of the ones from it, closely associated with it. There's a reason they were willing to fight the entire universe, Lorne.
There are many reasons, I suppose. One could simply be pride.
And they had good reason to take pride in themselves. Horrifying as it is.
And it was their vice, was it not?
What did Lorne say?
And it was their vice, was it not?
Pride?
Yes.
No. No, I would think not.
Ooh. I want to roll on you, Hana. Because this is Lorne still going off of, like, what she's heard of, at least the mainland Terrans, you know what I mean? Versus anyone she's encountered out in space.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people she encounters in space, she takes everyone at, like, you know, she assumes the best out of people. But of course, she's heard terrible things about this place.
What
so
is the resist empathy roll?
Yes, I'm rolling on you. So
Your
you must
resist empathy
me.
is just your your credibility. Roll your credibility because that's not enough to auto pass it.
Those are d20s.
Whoa!
God damn it! I'm wasting so many 20s. I'm angry.
It should be.
Wait, when do you roll credibility? What's that for? Just resisting?
To resist persuasion.
Oh.
So basically, the credibility only gets rolled if a person who's doing the whatchamacallit, the convince basically to doesn't auto pass it. Like,
Gotcha.
it depends on the roll, depends on what you need to auto pass someone's credibility.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't auto pass, then they get the chance to resist.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which he did.
Which I did not get past, right?
Mm-hmm. 3 successes.
Yeah.
He what was the question? Or no, she was just trying to read him.
She was just trying to read him because she said that their downfall was their vice.
Mm-hmm.
And he disagreed with that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, from her point of view, and from the story she's heard, vice kind of was it, because, like, the amassing of everyone against them, because they didn't think it would happen, basically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He has. You try and read his expression, but he's sitting there with this closed, double smile, the kind that he wears that it looks like a smile when he wears his glasses, but when you see his eyes, it almost looks like a sneer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, she'll switch topics on Hihu.
So I suppose you will not be conversing with Minerva then?
For the foreseeable future, no. I think Joy will be a perfectly fine in-between.
And she nods. She won't push him on that. Sometimes you just don't want to talk to someone.
Do you have the intention of speaking with her?
I do.
I see.
And once the others are capable of speech from a speaker or whatever, I do wish to speak to them as well.
I should advise you to be careful about what you ask.
I will. Thank you for your concern.
He nods. You all have an opportunity here to... Never mind.
Never mind.
Projection.
What is it that you are going to project?
We're in a very dangerous situation now. All of us. One of which I would rather not see my colleagues in.
You are concerned for everyone else?
Yes. You see, people seem to think that my anger is towards the criminality of this action, which the less laws we break, the better. But we are already breaking several. And I didn't complain then, did I?
You are aboard this vessel, yes.
And I have been for many years. That is not my wall. Because when trespassing somewhere, so long as you aren't seen and you leave the area, it cannot be traced back to you. It is done and over with, and you move forward. Smuggling something, passing it away. Once it leaves your possession, so long as you didn't have any markers on you, it isn't your problem. The issue here, aside from the fact we're carrying VIs and AI on our ship, and will be once we enter borders again, is that there is countless information that can be gained from anything they know could tiptoe the line of something that was whited out years ago from history. And while you can sell something or leave a boundary, you can't just forget.
Are you saying that ignorance is bliss?
It wasn't you I had this conversation with before. But yes. Ignorance is very much bliss.
I think only to an extent.
Well, too much and you reach naivety.
Yes.
Being informed on what you need to know, well, that's not an issue. But there's such a thing as knowing too much. Some of the secrets they hold, I think, would be enough to scar another. Terrible things were done in the war, after all.
Since there is not much that can be done as of this current moment, there is always preparing for events. And hoping they do not come to pass.
Yes. There is. But that is not what I speak of. Trust me, I'm already planning on that. My point is that you shouldn't put yourself in a situation where you have to. Especially you. You're just getting a chance to experience the inner regions of our universes.
Yes, and I am enjoying it.
Glad. But you shouldn't be putting your face in the dirty parts of it first, should you? There's tiers to this sort of thing, Lorne, and you're really just diving to the bottom right off the bat.
It is where I ended up.
Yes.
I
yes,
have
it
drifted,
is.
and this is where I have landed.
Well, you can always crawl away from it, can't you? You don't have to continue forward into it.
I
He's
can.
like slowly putting his face in the sand.
You're like a little, like that little gremlin smile. She's like,
Yes, I could, I suppose. But I
But you're
choose to
not
stay.
going to. Your curiosity is your downfall, child.
I will hope it is not.
I should hope so as well.
she'll plop down next to him and start beating.
He watches her beat and kind of goes back to working on his whatever weapon he had on hand.
Mm-hmm.
He after a small quiet, says, "What are you going to make of these weeks of downtime? We have to disassemble a ship, but you have already done your job for the most part, haven't you?"
My job is continuous.
"Yes, but you don't have to dismantle a hull, so you have free time."
I do not, but I will assist anyways.
"With your company?"
Hmm?
"With your company?"
With your company? What do you mean?
Like, you will, she says, "I will assist anyways," and he asks, "With your company?"
Gotcha.
Then,
Gotcha. I get it.
That, or if physical effort is required, I am capable of that.
"Perceptibly so."
Or for conversation, as you say, company.
"I'm sure some could use it. Flynn would probably enjoy it."
Yes, most likely. I have to speak to him about repairing the...
Let me check real quick. What was this thing? The fusion thingy thing.
this fusion cutter. Or that fusion cutter I'd found.
"I can take a look at that if you want.
If you are willing.
I have an entire pile of things I'll need to look over and fiddle with anyway. Might as well add it to it."
Out of character. I never used my grenade, did I?
"What grenade?"
Because it's still on my character.
So, yep, you never used it.
So, when we first got back in, she deposited that carefully where it needed to go. It was an Imperial frag grenade.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm looking at the sheet right now. I love that you typed in motherfucking Bale Sward. Fair too.
No, what else?
Instead of bionic leg, you should just put leg.
No. While Lorna's beating, he will take one of the extra little, like, nuts that he took off and just, like, place it near her.
It will be automatically incorporated. One slender hand sneaks over and takes it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. And about it, huh?
Yeah, I think they'd probably just continue to hang from there on.
Yep. Vibin'.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So I will say, Lorne does notice with vibing with Hana, because usually it's general vibing with Hana is in your presence, and Hana's talking about his guns,
Mm-hmm.
especially when he has a gun in hand, because that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be his person to narrate to. This go around, he's pretty much quiet.
Now he's stressed. She's picked that up.
Mm-hmm.
So she will hope that her calmness can kind of ooze from her presence.
Directing calmness to Hana.
Yes. The arbiter presence. She try. So yeah.
For RP's sake, what's she beating?
Yum, 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 yum.
That's a strange thing.
What?
I said that's a
Right.
strange thing.
Ooh. Da. Did we just celebrate a thing in game? I thought we did.
Yeah, that was recent.
Was that the turkey thing?
Mhm.
She is.
A giving feast.
Yes, she is attempting to bead a weird turkey thing. It looks very abstract and it's mostly just sparkly because of the stuff she's incorporated. The most important part is like it's a bunch of strings with beads on them, so it's It's that kind of texture, that softness, like when you touch beads and
Mhm.
stuff. Kind of like tassels, but not.
She made it for the touch feels.
Pretty much.
Amazing. All right, then I think we're good to end the RP.
Yeah. The art is.